Head coach Brian Hodgson, take it away.
You want me to start with an opening statement or just questions? I didn't. You said take it away. Pleased with our effort. Obviously, these games, these exhibition games are, you're sometimes you'd rather just play, a top 10 team in the country out of the gate because you see it every year. Somebody loses these games, and man, it wouldn't be a great way to start my tenure here at South Florida. But really pleased with the guys' efforts, top to bottom, on both ends of the floor. Really, thankful for our fans and our student section. To have a student section like that in an exhibition game is phenomenal. It's what makes this place special. Appreciate St. Leo for coming and playing the game, obviously. But we've got a lot to work on, obviously, still before we open up. But we'll get back to work.
Well, Coach, what were one of the two boxes you wanted to check tonight with this game?
I wanted to dictate the pace of the game, and we did that. Obviously, scoring 120 points, really getting out in transition, getting up and down. It's something we talk about a lot is dictating the pace, and I wanted to take care of the basketball. The way that we play, obviously the pace at which we play can be challenging for guys that transfer in that played in a totally different style of play. And we've been battling that, all preseason and fall and practice with turnovers. And up until those, two last goofy ones there down the stretch, we were 21 assists to 7 turnovers. And, so it was pleased with that. So taking care of the basketball and then dictating the pace of the game, and I thought we did both.
You played freshmen throughout the game tonight, but you also played all 5 of them at the very end. From your perspective, how do you feel they did?
I thought they did phenomenal. It's not easy for freshmen in college basketball period to come in and get rid of the jitters and feel comfortable. We've got a top 30 class in the country as far as freshmen are concerned, one of the highest ranked recruiting classes in program history. And it's still tough, obviously. I saw a stat the other day that said we were like one of the most veteran teams in college basketball, which is the way we recruited. And so those guys have been battling all fall to find their way and figure out our offense and figure out college basketball, period. You look at a guy like Adriel Neorha comes in and, has 13 points in under 14 minutes. Caleb Sanders was phenomenal, has 10 points, 4 steals, is a plus 13, and does that in 12 minutes. Caleb's had a great fall. Adriel's had a great fall. Across the board, Tristan Beckford, Onyx did some great things, and Gavin's been really good for us here over the last couple weeks, and I think it's a guy that can step in and really help us as a freshman in our backcourt.
Coach, you got a bunch of Canadian players. When you got the job in March, how hard was it to convince those guys north of the border to come to Florida?
Well, 3 of them were coming to Jonesboro, Arkansas, so that wasn't very hard. With Adriel, Tristan, and Onyx, they were all committed to play for us at Arkansas State. And so when we made that transition, Tampa, Florida, and the University of South Florida is not exactly a tough place to sell in that regard. And so really happy that they joined us. And then Josh Omajafo, was a guy that we spent a lot of time recruiting, had a really good year last year at Robert Morris on an NCAA tournament team, and was one of their better players on that team and fit what we were looking for in that spot. And, he had been in the States, obviously, for a while playing college basketball at both Gannon and Robert Morris. And so, really thrilled, honestly, to have all of them here. People always ask me why we recruit Canada so much. If you look at the city of Toronto, I believe it's, give or take, is the 5th largest, most populated city in North America. I saw a statistic that came out, obviously, the opening night in the NBA, behind the United States, that Canada has the 2nd most players in the NBA. There's a lot of talent up there. I'm obviously from Western New York, the Buffalo, New York area, have some strong ties in Canada. We're going to continue to recruit there. Some great players have came out of there, and obviously pleased to have the ones that we have here.
You came firing up the halftime break. What was your message to the team during that break?
This for us, the standard is the standard, right? We're not playing the scoreboard. We break the game down into 4-minute wars between media timeouts, and we weren't going to allow any let up. If I felt like there was any let up at all, I was going to call a timeout, and we were going to fix it. And so our goal was to hold them to 25 points in the second half. They ended up with 28, but I think our guys understood the mission. We've got, a veteran team with great leadership, a player-led team, and they knew that we were gonna execute and play to our standard of basketball for 40 minutes, regardless of the score.
Coach, obviously you want to play fast. How much of that is fueled by your defense?
Obviously, defense leads to offense, right? We get stops, we can get out in transition. We want to. Our goal is to have a top 50 offense and defense. Teams that have done that historically have had great seasons and great runs in March. And so, our defense. We really say that our defense is our anchor, and we want to start by getting stops. 3 stops in a row is our goal to start the game. We call them kills. Get 3 stops in a row. We track those, we chart those, and it's a major point of emphasis for us.
It's obviously been a year since the passing of Amir. It's only an exhibition game. What does it mean to come out and dominate like this in his honor?
It's not about the game, but just the impact that Coach Amir had here at the University of South Florida. You can feel it. I mean, you can see it every day. I was fortunate to have a very small relationship with Amir. We knew each other in the profession, and we spoke, and he found a way to impact everybody that he spoke to or had any communication with at all. He did on me, I know that for sure, and he did on everybody here at this university and this community. Everything we do from a day-to-day standpoint, whether it's games, practice, what we do academically, most importantly, how we interact with other people, we want to do in a way that honors him and his legacy. And Coach said, love wins, and that's something that we continue to preach to our guys. Tough day for a couple young men in that locker room that obviously were recruited here by Coach. Couldn't be more proud of C.J. Brown, plus 41 tonight. Had a 20 points, 11 assists, 1 turnover, and I know Coach would be extremely proud of him and his development. We're gonna sing Coach Amir's praises and say his name a lot around here because he deserves that, and we're really proud to be a part of something that he built and to continue to build on that.
Coach, now you got a ways to wait till that opener on November 3rd. What are the 2 things you got to work on?
Offensive execution. You look at a final score, it says we scored 120 points. We didn't execute great. I thought we made shots and we got to the basket, we got it in transition, but in the half court, we didn't execute the way that I'd like to. And then defensively, I thought our communication was poor. We messed up some switches, we messed up some backside rotations that we've got to fix. I think we've got to be a little bit more aggressive on the rebounding effort. So I'd say that, the 2 biggest things are offensive execution and then communication defensively.
Anything else?
I'm good.
I think you're good.
Thank you.
Thank you.